Hello and welcome back to the Golf Ireland podcast. I am Stephen Murphy, your host, along with my co-host here, Valerie Wheeler. Valerie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm flying it, Stephen. How are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you. The good weather has slightly just stopped here in Galway. The rain has started again, but I think it's given okay for the rest of the week, so I'm not too down about that. But how was your weekend?
Good. Yes. The last time I spoke to you, I got out and finally played my first bit of golf this year. 18 holes last week in Sea Point, ahead of the Legends Tour, which was really, really nice. I must say, I was delighted to get out. I was delighted with myself. Now, when I first started out, Stephen, it wasn't great. I was touch and go for a few holes. But then I kind of found my groove, got a bit of confidence. I had himself with me, so I was kind of getting a little lesson on each hole, to be fair. I was like, now what should I do? Tell me what to do. What club should I use? So I was delighted to have him because by the end of it, I did feel like, I was delighted to be back playing. It's after giving me set a little spark inside me again to get out more.
Absolutely. I saw you posted your swing on Instagram. Nothing wrong with that at all, Valerie. Very, very impressive. A
Thank
good
you.
wallop of a ball too. Did you get many tips or people commenting?
Yeah, a lot of laughing emojis, a lot of fair play to you. But I think it's the second hole in Sea Point is actually quite near the back of people's gardens. And I must say that when I did hit it off the tee, it did end up in someone's garden. So that was my ball gone on hole two. So terribly sorry to the person in Sea Point that'll be fighting a golf ball in their back garden. It was me.
Yeah, if you could return that to Valerie, that would be great. She'd
Yeah,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
that.
It was a Pro V. Thanks very much.
Oh wow, yeah. There's nothing. One of golf's what people don't talk about enough. One of golf's greatest pleasures is finishing the round with the same ball you started on it, because that is a rare occasion for most people. So, that is nice. Yeah, yeah. I'm a bit. I was kind of this using you as a bit of a therapy session before we started recording here. I'm going through some low points with my driver. I just cannot keep it on the planet, unfortunately, at the moment. I'm a lost boy. I'm like those lost boys on milk cartons. You know what I mean? Come find Stephen. Try and find Stephen wherever he is. But the rest of the game's fine. It's just the driver. But I'll keep at it, Valerie. You got to work through these things, and that's what I'm going. That's what I'm going to do.
This is golf, Stephen.
It
People say it's
is.
a nice, relaxing game, but it's actually quite frustrating. But you're obviously getting into your head too much. The more probably getting thick with yourself and angry at yourself, the more you try.
Yes, massively. Like it's one of those things where the driver has always kind of been iffy enough, and then when you're standing on a tee and you have no idea where the ball's going, that's a scary place. You can't play good golf from that spot. When it's like Russian roulette at the top of the backswing, it's not gonna end well, and then it's just frustrating because if I could keep it on the planet, I think I'd be shooting some good scores with the rest of the game. But it comes and goes like everything else. I'm not playing every day like the pros, and even they go through these things. So.
Yeah.
Not worried about long term. Just would like to get playing more regularly and get some good scores in. But seeing you out there, Valerie, inspired me to keep going. And I'm sure you said you got the bug is there. Hopefully you got a bit more now, but even to the driving range.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think to be fair, like I do love the driving range and going out, but playing on a golf course, it just kind of it's so hard. Like I find it so difficult to go from the driving range to the golf course because I could be flying in the driving range, but the minute you go to a golf course, I'm like, oh no, it's so much open field here. You know what I mean?
It's
Um,
different. Yeah, there's consequence on the golf course. There's no consequence on the driving range.
yeah, exactly. But look, we'll give it our best shot. That's all we can do. Practice makes perfect and all that. So we just need to get out there a bit more.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the struggles, it wouldn't be worth it when you play well. It's one of those things. So, Valerie, we have a great guest this week. Do you want to give us some backdrop on our guest?
Yeah, well, we're delighted. This is going to be a really interesting chat and insightful chat. We have this week captain of the Irish Golfers Disability Team, Paul Kelly, formerly a golf journalist, who is obviously normally used to asking the questions. But this time we're asking him a lot of questions. But to be fair to him, this chat is really, really interesting.
Yeah, really, really good backdrop on the process of picking the team, and kind of the next couple of years, what it looks like for golfers with disabilities. So, absolutely fascinating discussion, and we will throw over to that now.
This week, we're delighted to be joined on the Golf Ireland podcast by Paul Kelly, captain of the Irish Golfers Disability Team. First of all, Paul, welcome to the Golf Ireland podcast.
Yeah, great to be here.
Paul, you have taken time out of your busy schedule today. Would you like to tell us all, I suppose, where and what you're actually at today, first of all?
Yeah, we're currently in Carton House. We're having a trial to select the teams for the Nations Cup and the not the Irish Championship, the Championship team event at the Disability European Championships.
Oh.
Can you explain to us then what happens on trial day? So is there obviously a lot of golfers up there at the moment trying to put on their best game, I suppose, to impress yourself, is it?
Yeah, so we have, as I said, 2 teams going this year. The last time we had competitors in this event, there was 1 team. So we now have teams to select for the European Nations Cup and European Team Championships. And what that means is that obviously we have to select 8 players as opposed to 4. So we're getting people here to have a look at them and see how the form is and see where we can fit them in and who's available and who isn't available and that sort of thing.
How hard is it to pick this team, Paul? Like, what's the talent of what's the pool talent like?
Yeah, well, for people who have been following a wee bit of the Irish Disability Golf, you'll know it's kind of exploded in interest, certainly over the last 3 or 4 years. Obviously, Brenton Lawler's the most high-profile disability golfer around, but with a lot of people below that, all playing in EDGA events and all playing at various levels and doing very, very well. So for us, the selection this year has been, it's going to be harder. There are more people to pick from. There are more people playing. There are more people interested in representing Ireland. So it means that we've got a wider pool for a person like myself looking to make that selection. It's good and it's bad. It means that you have more to choose from, but it also means that you have more people, unfortunately, will have a disappointing phone call as opposed to a positive phone call.
And tell me what exactly you're looking for today. Is it just how golfers play? Is it their attitude and mindset? And is it also how they interact with the other kind of players as well?
Yeah, you're spot on. It's all those sorts of things. So this year the tournament that we're aiming for, it's been changed slightly. They've put bandings in and categories in, so it means that selection isn't solely based on our call. Certain people will be in bands where there's a lot of competition for a slot, and then for other bands there's only 1 or 2 people available. So yeah, there's a fair amount of juggling going on here. We're looking at who is available in each band, which band to fall into. We're also looking to see how people engage with each other. We're looking to see how they engage with playing with people of different levels and different abilities, because this is a truly inclusive event. It's gender neutral. There's people from all the different categories: vision impaired, amputees, intellectual disabilities, the whole lot. So yeah, we have a lot of various things to juggle to try and get these 2 teams together, but we're going along so far so good.
Paul, would you have seen and maybe know a lot of the golfers that show up today, or is there some that you would have never have seen?
Yeah, so there's a mix here. So we have some golfers who are only sort of have only arrived today to have to get a good look at, but a lot of them have played view some of the dig events, the Disabled Irish Golf Association, which is supported by Golf Ireland. A lot of them are playing there. As I said, a lot of them are playing in EDGA events, have played in the last couple of Irish Opens. So it's a lot of people who we do know. The fact that occasionally you get somebody arriving who hasn't played before is actually a positive as we see it. It means that we're getting the word out there, and there's still a fair degree of needing to let people know that Golf Ireland's in this space now and is supporting it.
Do you
And
know when sorry, Stephen, go first.
yeah, do you talk to the golfers before they go out on trial days and kind of let them know what you're looking for, or is it a case of let them go out and be themselves and kind of see where the scores kind of lie?
No, certainly we've been very clear with people where we are, because it is so complicated from a selection perspective. We've been very clear with people from the start of this process that, here we are, but we're working to the criteria that are being set. The criteria are X, Y, and Z. So you have to understand where you're sitting within the overall. Now there's still selection to be made. So even at the end of the day, there will be decisions to be made, but there's no point in leading people up a garden path. You have to let people know right from the start where they are in this process, and that's what we're trying to do.
You mentioned probably you've seen most of the golfers before they arrived today, and can you judge it maybe off other things you've seen from them, or is it strictly on today? If a golfer
Oh,
showed up today, Paul, and they didn't play as best as you thought they could, but you knew that potential,
yeah.
what's that like?
Yeah, this isn't a one or done type of event for us. This is an opportunity to get people together, to explain what's happened, to let them play, and for us to get a good look at them really up close and personal. But it's not a one-stop shop. People can play in EDGA events, they can play in DIGA events. There is still room for people to make a mark before selection will be done.
That's nice.
Team Ireland won the 2022 European Team Championships for golfers with disability. So, are expectations high, I suppose, going into this?
Yeah, and expectations are high, but I think they have to be tempered with realism. Ireland did so well last time out that, to be honest with you, this is a totally different competition. They've changed the criteria, they've changed the banding, they've made it a much more inclusive event, and because of that, it means that the idea of bringing 4 single-figure golfers together isn't really applicable. This will be a much broader based level of golfer in terms of their handicap. But what we're hoping to do is have that traditional Irish approach to team competition. We'll be well prepared, we'll be competitive, and we'll have a good plan. And Golf Ireland's fully behind it. We've got Ian Stafford, Mary Doyle as coaches supporting. We have Neil Manship, obviously, as the head of coaching. And, the support and the backing of Golf Ireland allows any Irish team to go away and hopefully give a good account of themselves. But let's just, the idea of waltzing away with gold is not something that I'm jumping at right now.
Would you say it's a small bit of pressure heading into it so this year, Paul?
Uh, I'm trying not to put pressure on anybody, and especially not myself, because it is so different. Yeah, the only thing that is the same is the title of the competition, but
Okay.
how we're going to change, how we're going to select this team and how different it'll be. For example, there's 2 teams going, as I said, European Nations Cup team and European Team Championship. They both have to have females in both teams for start. So there'll be at least 2 females there. There was none last time. So yeah, it's totally different.
How do you manage that kind of the battle of we're obviously going to go there and try our best to win, but obviously, it had a year's absence last year. It's the first time it's been on since 2022. And then balancing that with the excitement and the gratitude of just being there, competing, representing your country. That has to be an interesting battle as the coach, as the manager,
Yeah.
as a team captain to balance.
Yeah, I think what we have to be clear about is our ambition and our what we want to do. We want everybody to be as successful and as engaged in what we're trying to do as possible. We want people to aim high, but we also want to be realistic at what we're having to do in terms of the selection hurdles that we're jumping over here. I think if you have an agreed approach to what we're doing, and that's what, once the selection's done, we're going to have 2 days where we get the team together and get them time to get to know each other and develop good relationships. And I think if we give everybody enough preparation, I don't see why Golf Ireland, with the track record Golf Ireland has, we can't take a very positive attitude into this event. And I think that's the key. We have to have the right attitude. That'd be the same with any team sport. If you don't have the right attitude in any team sport, it won't matter what you're doing. So that's up to me. I think that's part of my role, is to make sure that we have the right attitude, that we give people the right opportunities. We'll make sure that people go there, know what's expected of them. We'll make sure that they've got the right support, and we'll make sure that, most importantly, they enjoy themselves, because for many of these people who are going, it'll be the first time they've represented Ireland on any stage. Some may have done in other guises, maybe in other types of disability sport, or even sport before they had their whatever injury, anything that led them to be playing in this level. But there's a lot to factor in. But also, I think And I think not doing Golf Ireland any any sort of doing them. I certainly think that if you're talking about Golf Ireland's track record in producing good teams, there's already a formula and a protocol and a way of doing things here. And disability golf doesn't change anything. It's just golf at the end of the day. So just slot into the way people have been doing things up to now and let them get at it.
Coming to your role, you did mention it, Paul, a first year as captain. I mean, a brilliant achievement. You must be extremely proud of that.
Yeah, so give everybody a wee bit of background. So Gareth McNeely was the captain, long-term captain, and Gareth made a decision to step away this year. I was approached to step in and help out. It is very much an interim role. I'd like to think there's no sort of long-term ambition at the minute for me here, and the idea is to try and get two teams together and get them over there. And after that, then we'll look at what's going to happen. I think like a lot of the captaincies with any of the teams in Ireland, they're up for renewal all the time. So I'll have a look at that. It was, I'm going to be honest, like a lot of people, my intention was to try to qualify for one of the teams myself, but um looking at some of the quality out there today, and also given that I've played very little competitive golf over the last sort of 6 or 8 months with the weather being so bad, that it wasn't much point. So the opportunity to be involved is really nice. It's been a really nice thing, and I'm really delighted to be able to help now. The good news is probably that of some background. Obviously, I'm involved in Digga. I'm involved in supporting that and giving disabled people a chance to get together and play. So I do know a lot of the people involved, and I've thankfully done a wee bit of team captaincy before. Various teams up at County Armagh Golf Club, my own club. I've done a bit of Barton Shield, Senior Cup and sort of stuff, and also outside of this environment, golf environment, I'm involved in local sort of junior soccer up in Armagh. I've done a fair bit of management and coaching over the years, so hopefully some of those skills will stand you instead here. Although I don't necessarily think you can go on shouting at people if they miss a putt like you can do in football.
I mean, why not, Paul? Why not? Who
It'd
says no?
yeah, it'd be a
Might
new
work.
thing. It'd be a new
Might
thing. It'd
work.
be screaming at VAR.
Yeah, let's hope that never comes into golf. But
Yeah.
speaking of your style of captaincy, is there any? Could you describe your kind of style of captaincy? And have you ever looked at other captains of, say, maybe Ryder Cup teams or Solheim Cup teams and maybe picked a couple of suppose habits from them?
I would love to say I've been in the job long enough to have come up with a style. I think if I'm being realistic, you can only be the person that you are in anything you do, and I'll be quite a person, sort of a prepper and a planner, and try and get things ready there. Um, certainly, I'm not a. You'll not see me doing any rousing speeches. That's not my way of doing things. I'll not be kissing the badge and telling everybody to go out there and do it for the county. But alongside that, I do think that if I can create an environment where everybody's comfortable playing with each other, comfortable spending time with each other, because you're going to be on a golf course for 4 or 5 hours, and for anybody who's interested in the format this year, the format of the Nations Cup and the Team Championship, it's foursomes, greensums, and four ball. So like it's the toughest type of golf to play for a lot of these golfers, many of whom may have never played any of these sort of foursomes or greensums before. So create an environment where people know that they're allowed to make mistakes, that mistakes are expected, but we're there to support them and encourage each other is the key thing, you know.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the team and where it goes this year. For you, Paul, outside of all the golf, outside of all the things you're doing, I mean, tell us a bit about Paul outside of golf. What do you do? What do you do in your spare time?
Yeah, well, I was a long-time journalist. I was a golf journalist for a long time. I covered a lot of the golf Ryder Cups. I've been to the Irish Open, many Irish Opens. I was at that sort of journalism thing for about 20 odd years. And within the last 4 or 5 years, I've gone into a bit more corporate stuff. still keep my hand in with a wee bit of golf. I still do a wee bit of golf writing. I do my own golf podcast, the NI Golf Channel podcast up north. So I'll keep my hand in and try and stay in touch with that. Outside of that, play golf when I can, getting on a bit, don't play as much as I used to. Still get out with my mates on a Saturday. I'm very involved in a local football team, sitting in committees and doing a bit of coaching and managing there as well. So sport takes up an awful lot of my time and always has done. And it kind of is where I find myself most comfortable. I'm currently working in the health service in the north, so any opportunity you can to get away from that sort of environment and relax is very useful, you know.
Absolutely. And just talk to me a little bit about golf for disabilities in the last, as you said, 2 or 3 years. It has exploded. How exciting is that for you to see that? And I suppose, where do you see the sport maybe 5-10 years? Is it going to keep on that incredible path that it's been on?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting meeting today. I was standing on the first tee and a fella come walking up to me and I looked at him twice and realised it was Pat Finn, who formerly run the Golfing Union of Ireland. And I remember going to a meeting with Pat Finn 5 or 6 years ago, and Alan Kelly, who was then the communications manager. And we were having a conversation about the lack of diversity, the lack of inclusivity, the lack of the problems that Golf Ireland was having in almost being blind to what was going on, and they were being left behind. And to come down today to see the 20 odd players we have there, to see the commitment from 2 coaches, and to see the commitment from Neil, who flew back from America overnight and is starting out there now supporting them, to see the funding that Golf Ireland has put in place, the sponsors on board, to see even the likes of what Brenton has done away from all this, made a career out of being a disability golfer. It is quite incredible to where we were those 6 or 7 years ago, where you were trying to have a conversation and get Golf Ireland as a governing body to recognise that this was a blind spot and they had to address it. The turnaround from the organisation has been incredible, and no doubt helped somewhat by Golf Ireland being created as an entity of itself, and a new sort of mindset towards inclusion in general. It happened at the right time for the organisation, but the level of the way they've bought into it, the way they've embraced it, has been very good. I would say that the next 5 or 6 years are going to be very important, because there's every chance disability golf becomes an Olympic or a Paralympic sport, and Ireland needs to be in a position to make a very strong showing there. It does, however, still have some issues, and it will always have issues. And when I say issues, there's nobody's fault there. It's simply an understanding within the wider society that golf is accessible, that people can be given a chance to play. So there always needs to be promotion. There always needs to be people out there doing well, but also the organisations and clubs can't sit back. Nobody can sit back and say, "Oh, we've done it now. It's done." So something like this can't be a flash in the pan. It needs long-term commitment, and it needs a long-term vision, not just on the playing side, but away from that on the inclusion side and embedding it within clubs. I also sit on Golf Ireland's inclusion committee. And from somebody who's been worked in that environment, in an ideal world, you wouldn't need anything like that. It would become second nature that an organisation doesn't have to have somebody reminding them of their responsibilities. So I would love to see disability golf becoming just intrinsic to everything that Golf Ireland does, not just in terms of governance, management, but also in the playing side, that disability golfers become part of national selections just like anybody else, that the disability team management just becomes a team manager just like anything else, and it becomes totally part of the being of the organization, a wee bit like some of the Scandinavian countries where, you know, Sweden and these places where it's just folded into everything. So we're moving in the right direction. The pace has been great. But I think the last thing we need to be doing is patting ourselves on the back and saying how well we're doing. I think there's plenty to be done. And what I would say is that certainly when you're down here and you're talking to people, they understand that. They understand that responsibility and they're embracing it. And it may not always be at the pace that people want it to be at, but I think we're heading in the right direction with it. So I would say, you know, 5 or 6 years from now, I'd love to see an Irish person winning a Paralympic gold for golf. That would be the ultimate.
Look, it'd be absolutely so amazing to see, and fingers crossed we do get to see something like that, Paul. Paul, we have taken enough of your time today because you are busy, you're under pressure picking that team, so we let you get back out there, all right? No pressure now. We're excited to see what you choose in the end, all right? And the very best luck. And thank you so much for chatting on the podcast today.
No problem. It was great. It's a bit weird for me now. Usually, as I said, I'm the one asking the questions. So yeah, it was very, very good. Thank you very much. And sure, listen, we'll hopefully we'll get the two teams together and I know they'll give a good account of themselves. It would just be great to come back with some success.
And now it is time for the news. We'll start in the professional game. The PGA Championship was at the weekend, the major. And great weeks for both Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy. Shane Lowry finishing tied for 6th and Rory McIlroy finishing tied for 12th. Paul Carrington also in the field, but unfortunately missed the cut. On the PGA Tour, the Charles Schwab Challenge this week. Unfortunately, no Irish in the field. On the LPGA, it was a missed cut for Leona Maguire and Stephanie Meadow at the Mizuho Americas Open. Unfortunately there, and it also is an off week this week for the LPGA Tour. On the DP World Tour, Conor Purcell is in the field at the Soudal Open this week in Belgium. On the Ladies European Tour, it was a tied 8th finish for Lauren Walsh at the Amundi German Masters. Lauren is now 38th on the order of merit. Olivia Mahaffey finished tied 60th. And both Olivia and Lauren are in the field this week at the Jabra Ladies Open. So best of luck to Olivia and Lauren. On the Challenge Tour, it is the Danish Golf Challenge this week with Gary Hurley, Dermot McIlroy, Rory McGee, Rona Maloney, Conor O'Rourke, and John Murphy all in action on the Challenge Tour. So best of luck to the lads there. On the Alps Tour, Robert Moran was the best of the Irish at the Gosser Open with a tied 10th finish. Good week for Robert. Paul McBride finished tied 18th. Mark Boucher tied 31st. And the Alps Tour is back this week at the Lacanau Alps Open from the 23rd to the 25th. On the Clutch Pro Tour, John Ross Galbraith with an 8th place finish was best of the Irish last week at Filford Heath. This week it is Cumberwell Park event, and the final round is actually today. So keep an eye on social media there for the Clutch Pro Tour results. Tom McKibbin came through a qualifier in Walton Heath for the US Open and is now in the field for his first ever major championship. Very, very exciting for Tom. Excited to see him tee it up at Pinehurst. In amateur, the news, the Irish Senior Men's Amateur Open Championship is underway in Moy Valley. 129 strong field boasts plenty of top contenders looking to take the crown, including 2023 runner-up Joe Lyons, European Senior Championship champion Eddie McCormick, Connacht Senior Champion John Reynolds, and the 2022 Irish Senior Open Championship champion Jody Flanagan from Milltown. So we have best of luck to all taking part. English golfer Sadie Adams was crowned the Flowgas Irish Girls Amateur Open Championship after a thrilling final day at Beaver Park. The Royal Birkdale youngster played the best golf of her week as she shot 67 in round 3 and withstood a brilliant late rally from Germany's Marie Agnes Fischer. Some scintillating golf there and that final day. So well done to all involved for a great, great event. The Bridgestone order of merit remains as it was, with Matthew McLean and Aidan Walsh remaining on top of their respective tables. A next opportunity to gain some ground on the leaders is the Ulster Men and Women's Amateur Stroke Play Open Championship, getting underway in Clandeboy on May 27th. And then finally, Tracy Eakin from Duke's Golf Club claimed the Connacht Women's Senior Open Championship in Athenry. the reigning Irish Senior Women's Open champion, shot a 73 for a +1 total, claiming the title by 2 strokes. Jane Joyce from Gort Golf Club took home the junior championship title after she registered a 2-shot win over fellow Gort golfer Shauna Burke there. So Gort representing big there in the junior championship. So a fantastic day at Athenry Golf Club. The course was in fantastic condition and great weather for it. So delighted to see that event went well. That wraps up our news summary for this week. Thank you as always for listening. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next week for the next episode.